Fresh Squeeze family, welcome back to another episode of the pod. It is your boy Mike Dog 39 here with P per usual.
Big Mike in the building. What's fresh this week, man? Talk to him.
This week we have a guest appearance, our first one actually together, the Erika Smith. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Actually, we've been having a bunch of technical difficulties leading up to this, so this doesn't even surprise me that happened. But we're here now. That's all that matters. I know you're coming back from the South by Southwest show.
Great.
Yeah, how was that?
It was awesome. I got to see a lot of music events, including Linda Perry had this event called Equalize Her, which was about gender equality in music, and they had a fantastic lineup of all of these amazing female artists, like all different genres. It was so cool, and like the openers were these teenagers who were just incredible, so that was really cool to see.
Yeah, it's always good to get out and get those experiences, especially when you're an artist yourself. We've been in the talks about this for a while now, so we'll just jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about your early life.
My early life?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm sorry. I need a little context. Where are you guys? You're in Chicago?
We're in the Chicagoland area, a little region called 219 outside Chicago, basically, like 30 minutes outside of Chicago. So we tell people, well, I tell people usually Chicago because that's like the quickest thing they can associate it with.
Got it. Cool. And you're okay. Got it. Okay. So my early life, I grew up in a very small town in Massachusetts, kind of near Boston, but about an hour outside of Boston. And I always loved music and film and classic film. And I was always really interested in the history of it all and the roots of whatever current bands I liked. And I always read and listened and watched all sorts of things. And then eventually I moved to New York City to start my career in entertainment. And I did quite a bit of work there. And then I recently moved to Los Angeles.
So in New York City, we recently researched that you went to school out there for acting, Neighborhood Playhouse. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. The Neighborhood Playhouse is a famous school. It was founded by Sanford Meisner, who was like one of the first ones to adopt the method in acting, like the Stanislavski method. And so I had like looked into a lot of my favorite actors and to see like what kind of techniques they used and where they went to school. So that's how I decided on that. And that was an amazing experience. It was just so nice to, like when you're growing up and you feel like you don't quite fit in. And finally, I felt like I fit in there and found people that were like me and got to start learning about what I wanted to do. So that was really cool.
So with that being said, I assume that you knew you wanted to be an artist at a very young age. Like, how did you discover that? I'm always interested in how people like discover they have a talent of singing or acting or whatever the case may be.
I remember when I was very young, I used to like always make up little songs about my cat and things like that.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then I probably like around 12, but I didn't think that I could sing. Like I was very shy about singing. I didn't think I could be on key. I didn't want anyone to ever hear me. And so then when I was like about 12, I discovered classic films and fell in love with that. And then I was kind of, as a teenager, like, which one should I pursue? And I didn't really know, which one I had more potential in. So I studied them both. And I went to school for music at the same time I was going to the Neighborhood Playhouse. And I studied opera and jazz. And that really, I did a lot of performing in college. And that I learned a lot. I think I know I became better as a performer, but it also really built my confidence, and I became more confident about performing in front of people.
Gotcha.
So which school would you say gave you the most confidence and you had like the best experience in? Was it the music school or was it the acting school?
I think I had more fun in acting school because music school was very technical and it was very serious, and it was very competitive. And acting school was just more fun and free and light, and you were encouraged to be as wacky as you wanted. You were encouraged to be yourself and as creative as you could be. Like I remember in music school, we would have recitals, and I didn't want it. Like they would give you pieces to do that would help you as a singer to like learn certain things. And so everybody wound up doing the same pieces like Mozart. And I was bored by that. I was like, I wanted to explore, I wanted to be different, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember performing one time, I chose this Russian composer, and I did this really weird piece. And my teacher was like, why would you do that? Like, I'm like, because I thought it was interesting.
So coming out of college, when did you get your first gig, rather it was acting or performing, singing? And can you take us a little bit through how you were feeling leading up to your first gig?
So probably my first gig that's registering with me, because even throughout college, I would do like student films and stuff like that. But the first gig, like I remember I was about a couple weeks away from graduating acting school, and I got a role in this off Broadway production of this play called The Doll's House, which is a classic play that was written in like the late, I think 1904 or something like that. And I got the lead, and it's a famous role for a woman. It was like really revolutionary in its time because it was kind of feminist. And so it was about a 95-page play, and I was in 90 pages of it. So there was just one scene in the whole play that I wasn't in. So I had to be on stage the whole time. And I had 3 weeks to memorize 90 pages. Oh. And I was freaking the fuck
out. Do you have any special techniques to learn all those? That's a lot of pages.
So in my acting school, they taught us, I still remember the way they put it. It's like you're supposed to just learn the lines by rote with no emotion attached to it. And then later once you know all the lines, then you can make yourself emotional. And they say that the way they put it is that the lines should ride the river of your emotions. So that's cool. So when I memorize it, I mean, now what I do when I get auditions is like, I will say the first line, and I'll repeat that line to myself 5 times. And then I'll look at the second line. And then I'll say both lines together 5 times. And then I'll move on to the third line. And so I'm just cementing it in my head, and the way that, you know, your lips get used to it rolling off your tongue, and that way. So that's how I memorize now.
We're going to jump to like currently now. You do have an album that you're working on that's coming out, Calendar Girl. And you're working with Calvin Gaines and Mark Wilson, who have worked with big stars like Beyonce, like a huge star. What type of advice and pointers have they gave you that you maybe didn't know prior to working on this?
Calvin helped me a lot with songwriting, and it's just so much. It's hard to choose any one thing, but one thing I like that he taught me was about the bridge in a song. When you're going to write the bridge, basically, like, you know, that like the chorus should sum up the theme of what the song's about. The verses tell the story, and then the bridge, it kind of sheds a new light on it, or just kind of like just takes a turn, or is kind of like a different take on it. It's an opportunity to explore the theme in like a different way. Yeah. So I like that note. And he also tries to get me out of my head, because I'm a very like, I'm very calculated and logical the way that I work. And he's more free, and he's always trying to say, like, it shouldn't be that hard. Like, just take what's on your mind and just have fun with it. You need to have more fun with.
So since you're so calculated in all your work, how long do you think it typically takes you to make one song?
Well, it really depends, because sometimes I get inspired and I'll write a song in one sitting, and that's what I like the best. I feel like those songs are more special. But sometimes it takes me like a week, especially if it's like a song that has a lot of lyrics that I need to think about and piece together. So it just depends. But I would say, I don't know, and I maybe like on the short end, a couple hours, on the long end, a week. But there have been some times when I just take a bunch of notes and I have an idea for a song and it goes nowhere. And then I check my note section, like, because I'm looking for a piece of a few words or something, and I'll grab something that I wrote a few months ago.
Okay. So what do you want, like, the vibe of the album to be? What do you want people to feel or think about as they're listening to this?
I want the vibe to be fun. I want people to dance. I don't know why I've been listening a lot to like 70s artists and stuff, and women like Diana Ross, and the kind of like disco stuff a little bit. So there's like a disco song on there. I love like Janet Jackson's kind of vocals, and that whole vibe, sexy and airy and light. And I love the moodiness of Billie Eilish and Lana Del Rey. So those are some kind of modern influences that I have. The kind of conglomeration of all of those styles. But definitely I want something with like that people can dance to.
So pretty versatile. Anybody you working with on these songs, or is it all just you?
So usually the way that it works is that I'll come up with a melody and lyrics, and I'll record that to a click track, and I'll send it to Calvin and Mark, and they will build a track around it. That's how we've been doing most of the songs. But lately I felt a little blocked, so I asked, like, Calvin just sent me a really cool track to write to. So the track's already there, and I'll write the top line. I'll write the music or the melody, the vocal melody, and the lyrics. And they will give me, I mean, Mark is really creative with his instrumentation and the vibe of the song, and I just kind of let him go. I just completely trust him, and I love that whole collaboration process. I like how I can have something in my head and be unsure if it's anything valid, and then they do their thing with it, and I'm like, whoa, this is a song now.
Yeah.
You know,
I saw when I was preparing for this that you are working on a movie currently. I saw you say you couldn't tell too much about it, but what can you tell us about it?
So it's called Companion, and it has to do with tech. It's something that in the future, and I know my character is like a badass, like president of some kind of a technology company, and I know I have to like do fight choreography. That's all I really know. And the I haven't seen the full script yet, but the script that the parts that I've seen, she seems like my character is very intense, and I love that she's a boss, because you know, I feel like I don't want to play. I mean, look, I'm not going to turn down roles, but it's easier for me to relate to like a woman that's like in charge of something, or a boss, than like a wife or a mother or a girlfriend. Like a lot of roles, the woman is more of like, she's not the main character. She's like she's supporting her man or whatever, and that's not as easy to get behind for me. I mean, I'll do it, but it's not as fun.
So staying with your acting career, how was it playing someone as iconic as Marilyn Monroe?
it was really intimidating at first when I started. I did a lot of research and I felt like I really wanted to nail it because I didn't want people to say like, why are you?
Yeah,
You don't even
for
measure.
sure.
And people did say that. People were like, you're too skinny to play Marilyn. And I felt like,
That's gonna happen. You always gonna have that.
yeah. And anyway, like you have to like that. I mean, it's taught me so much because you can't be like, remember I said I was calculated. You can't be that logical. You have to let the audience have fun and go with it and be entertaining. You can't be too exact, you know?
Can't please everybody.
No.
Yeah.
So mentally, like where do you try to put yourself when you're doing that? Because you were doing those sets live, right?
Yeah. And it's mostly live. Like I just performed at the Bellagio in Vegas. I headlined the New Year's Eve show as Marilyn. That was terrifying because I was working with dancers and I had to learn choreography and they were picking me up and I'm not a good dancer. And these people were like, not only they like gorgeous, crazy good dancers. And I'm like, I don't want to fuck this up. But so yeah, performing live, that also gave me so much confidence to know and like so much enjoyment to see the crowd's reaction. And it really, I mean, this job helped me so much. But when I'm getting into character, I just kind of do the voice first. That's kind of what gets me into it. And when I put on the wig and the dress, and I have a few like key phrases that I worked on that help me get into character.
I saw in the past Will Smith when he played Ali, he said it was like kind of hard for him to get out of that role. Did you find that with yourself too?
Not really. I mean, people want to say like, what makes you relate to Marilyn? Are you the same as Marilyn? And I'm just like, not really. I mean, we're both actresses and we're both women, and I'm sure we dealt with similar things that all women deal with. And I feel like I try to use my own experiences to relate to what she might have felt, you know, in the moment. And whenever I'm nervous, I say to myself, well, she would have been nervous right now too.
Yeah. So speaking of being nervous, like what are some things before you perform live that you kind of calmed yourself down with? Like what did you use to calm yourself down before performing?
Alcohol? No.
Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice.
I think about, okay, so sometimes I just think about what I'm about to do and being in the moment and like what the song's about and connect to that and the feeling that I get to be on stage and like be free and express myself, and people have to watch me and I can like get like they're forced to and I get to just get out my feelings, because sometimes like it's nice to be heard. So however I'm feeling, I can kind of put it into my performance and it makes you feel seen and stuff. So sometimes I'll focus on that and sometimes I'll focus on the audience and showing them a good time. That helps a lot.
So wrapping up here soon, we're going to hit you with a 2-questioner right here. Do you have any crazy stories from any of the sets that you have been on? And what advice would you have for mainly women? Because we are actually like trying to branch out to more women. So what type of advice would you have for women that want to be actresses and artists and things like that?
Oh my God. Yeah, I have some crazy stories that I've talked about in interviews before. I'll just kind of.
Oh, we need a fresh one though. If you're gonna be on Fresh Squeeze, we need a fresh story.
Fresh story. Okay, a fresh story. Let me think. Like I know what you want. You want like a Me Too story, right?
No.
Nah, not a Me Too.
Not a Me Too story.
because I've told those, like, people always ask me about Me Too in interviews, and like I have, yeah, it's so funny. I was laughing with a friend of mine because Me Too started happening in 2017, and we were like, there people say like, oh, how do you feel about Me Too? It's like, we've been getting Me Too'd forever.
Yeah.
Not since then, forever. Well, let me start with the advice, and then let me see if a story comes to mind. I would say that, like, it's the same as in dating, for example. Like, when you want to settle, like, you like somebody so much and you'll settle for something that really is not what you want. And you would have, it's really hard to sometimes stay strong to your self-respect and hold out for the conditions that you want. And many times in my career, I didn't realize that I was making that choice, that I was being presented with a decision that was like, I was being objectified, or it was just not real. It didn't serve me, or it wasn't exactly good for my career. And yet I wanted to work so bad, and that I would agree to these things. And I wish that I had the foresight to just stay really diligent and focused on the kind of work and the kind of career that I want to have. So that would be my advice, to just stay really strong and have a vision, and maybe have a role model of somebody whose career that you would like to have, and be like, well, what would she do? Would she take this role, or would she say this? And then I've also watched like a lot of strong women work, and realize that you have a lot of freedom. Like, you don't even have to stay to the lines. You can give directorial ideas. You can bring your ideas. You can make everything your own to suit you better. So so a positive story would be, I worked on a movie called The A Plate, which was an independent film. And I worked with this woman, Priscilla Barnes. She's been on many sitcoms and had a long career, and she was fabulous. And she came on set a few days after we started working, and she just was like, told everybody what to do. Like, she bossed around the director. He would tell her what he thought, and she was like, no, I think I'm going to do it like this. Or she would just go ahead and do it and be like, what do you think of that? Or, I'm going to try something, let me know what you think. And it worked so well. Her character was so well-rounded, and the director appreciated that, because she had more experience than him, and she knew comedy, and she knew what would work.
Yeah.
So that was like a positive experience that I had with her.
So that's something that you definitely took with you throughout your career, and you're trying to not implement it exactly how she did, but just shows that, you know what, I can do it too. You know what I'm saying? Since she did it.
Yeah, and it shows that you thought about it, that you thought about the character and the scene, and that you're bringing your own ideas. And that's honestly part of why people hire you.
Well, what do you have coming up immediately that we should be looking forward to? And what do you have in the future, maybe, that you want to maybe branch off into, but you're not for sure on yet?
Well, I just signed with a new agency called Visionary Talent Agency. It's female owned, which I'm so excited about. I don't have to I don't have to deal with any Me Too stuff, I don't think.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so excited, because a lot of times, like, I feel like I butt heads with my agents about the kind of roles and projects that I want to be seen for. And sometimes they send me stuff that I just am like, how does this help me? And
Yeah.
I'm on the same page with this new agency, and so they're submitting me for like lead roles and pilots and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, exactly, thank you, I'm a leading lady, I'm not like a fortune teller in a bumfuck town. Thank you. So I have that, and finishing up a music video right now. I've shot everything with my director, E. Sanchez, and I styled it. The music video is called Frequency of Love, and I styled it, and E. Sanchez shot it. We have a great editor, And so that'll be coming out pretty soon. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that one for sure.
Thank you.
Definitely. And we want to say thank you again for taking this. I don't want to call it an interview because it is more like a guest appearance. Like you're talking along with us and giving positivity, giving motivation. That's definitely something that we try to bring on a regular basis, even when we don't have a guest. So we do want to say thank you again for that. And this is actually special because this is our first time having a guest appearance with me and P together. So
Oh.
that's also like a crazy thing for us right now.
Nice. Well, it's been awesome. You guys are great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Erika. And we will follow her, guys. I don't know where the camera's at, but follow her, guys. It'll
Definitely
be
follow her.
on the
You can tell them
Instagram
that
page,
any of
on
social
everything.
medias.
Yes. Thank you again, Erika.
Thank you.
Get Mike out.